Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So Tieflings in D&D are a crowd favorite for many reasons, and today I'm going to give you the know-how of what they do, but also some of the best ways you can better build out a Tiefling character. So without further ado, let's get started. So diving into the Tiefling, they compete with elves for who gets the most sublineages. And just so you know, I'm not going to be going over every single one just for the sake of time on this video, because there are a lot of Tieflings. But mainly, when it comes to Tieflings, they all follow a main pattern. You get dark vision, you get your fire damage resistance, and then usually you get one cantrip, and then you learn a spell at 3rd level that you can cast once per day, and then a spell at 5th level that you can cast once per day. And these spells and cantrips that you get scale off of your charisma modifier. However, with these variations to the Tiefling, I personally don't feel like all of them are truly created equal. My take, which you can choose to agree with or not, is that there are 4 Tieflings that I think are stellar anywhere you go, and these are the Zariel, Mammon, Levistus, and Winged Tieflings. Zariel Tiefling gets access to the Searing Smite and Branding Smite, which is fantastic on a surprising amount of characters. Use it in conjunction with your melee characters to add in an extra oomph. I even had a player who combined this with Green Flame Blade and Sneak Attack, and needless to say, the enemy wasn't standing after that combo. Mammon Tieflings are a personal favorite of mine. They give very strong utility between Mage Hand, Tensor's Floating Disc, and Arcane Lock. And of course, too, one of my favorite parts about the Mammon Tiefling is not just the fact that they get the spell Arcane Lock and they can cast it once a day, but it's that when they cast it with this racial trait, is that they can cast it for absolutely no gold cost. Usually Arcane Lock costs about 25 gold to use, however, you can cast it for free with absolutely no material component when you're playing a Mammon Tiefling. Levistus Tiefling can also be very resilient thanks to getting Armor of Agathis, and personally, Darkness isn't so bad either. The fact that it's not a save kind of spell and you can just throw it anywhere means you can really throw this onto different kinds of classes. And also, stepping away from the spellcasting Tieflings, we also have the only non-spellcasting Tiefling, the Winged Tiefling. And yes, I know that I mentioned that a lot of the Tieflings have this sort of pattern, but I did say usually, and this is the one that kind of breaks the mold. So you see, the Winged Tiefling are strong for every reason you'd suspect. You have wings and a fly speed when you start off the game, but you can't fly if you're wearing armor heavier than medium. So just keep that in mind. And kind of like on the balancing flip side, because you're a Winged Tiefling, you don't actually get spells. So just be mindful of that. And unfortunately, my list of powerful, quote-unquote, Tiefling options is a little small, and it might seem somewhat limited in comparison to what others may think. However, there are a few options that do offer some strength, but once again, they really only shine in charisma-focused builds. When it comes to the Despater, Fierna, and Glacia Tieflings, I'm putting them on an honorable mentions list. Despater is great for gathering information, Fierna has some great enchantment options, and Glacia is good at sneaking and just general stealth. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the other Tieflings, I find that they shine best in situations where you're playing a high charisma class, or just, spec considerably far into charisma as a whole. But now that we've covered the major parts of the Tiefling race, let's go over some of the Tiefling feats. So you have 2 main racial feats, Flames of Phlegethos and Infernal Constitution. Infernal Constitution allows you to buff up your Constitution by 1, gives you resistance to cold and poison damage, and gives you advantage on saving throws to resist being poisoned. Combining this feat with your flame resistance grants you some nice natural resistances to a wide range of damage, and having a resistance to being poisoned isn't so bad either, especially if you're the kind of Tiefling who likes to party hardy, if you catch my drift. And then you have the other Tiefling feat, Flames of Phlegethos. This feat lets you boost either your intelligence or charisma by 1, and this is a great feat for pyromaniacs because it allows you to reroll 1s on any die that you use when you're casting a fire damage spell. And in addition, when you do deal fire damage on your turn, you become wreathed in flame. And if anyone hits you until the start of your next turn, while you're wreathed in this fire, they take 1d4 fire damage. And I personally like this little mechanic because it's kind of a pincushion kind of ability and could deter a lot of enemies from hitting you and also help get out a decent chunk of extra damage per turn with your natural ability to roll 1s. But now that we've come this far into the video, how do we build Tieflings? Personally, as I mentioned before, charisma for a majority of Tieflings is great for them. There are the few Tieflings that, yes, do well wherever you put them, but a majority of tieflings do amazingly in charisma-focused builds. Your bards, warlocks, sorcerers, paladins, and even some fighters and rogues will be great options for the tiefling and really synergize with a lot of their abilities. Funny and also weirdly enough, barbarians might welcome tieflings with the Infernal Constitution feat. Imagine, if you will, a winged barbarian with resistance to cold, poison, and fire damage by default, and bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage while raging. That is a combo that is nothing to sneeze at. The winged tiefling overall I feel like is one of the strongest options that you have, and while yes, there are a lot of really fun utility options that I feel like you get to have with the tiefling through their spells, flight is just really strong and incredibly versatile. You can use it on marshals to close the gap amongst flying characters, or you could also use it on your spellcasters and squishies to keep them out of range. And with all of these synergies and just discussion of these things, it is a little unfortunate to me that when you actually step into the tiefling, you don't have a lot of these other spellcasting synergies that you have with other lineages. For example, there have been a lot of different reprints that say that you can use your other stats to cast spells such as intelligence and wisdom, and in that way it would actually scale with a lot of other classes. Unfortunately, tieflings just didn't get lucky enough to get mixed into that reprint, so they stick with charisma. But of course, some DMs are probably willing to kind of let that slide, so see if your DM's cool with it. If not, don't hold it to them. It is what it is. But anyways though, now that I've gone over the tieflings, how can you better bring them into your games? So when it comes to the tieflings, their lore, designs, and even their perceptions have changed a lot in recent years. Tieflings are beings that are sometimes shunned from society due to their demonic lineage. Tieflings might have any of the following features, or sometimes very few of these, if any. They can appear in different colors, have horned heads, long tails, or even cloven feet, as well as wings, as we've discussed. Sometimes within a lineage, they're the result of an ancestor striking some kind of Faustian bargain with a devil or a demon, or in other cases, they're the result of nearby demonic energy that has infested the material plane or wherever that specific child is born. Your character might be the first tiefling in your entire lineage, or one of many dozen. And of course, this is something that you are more than welcome enough to do within your own games. Talk to your DM and figure out not just how you would want to bring a tiefling into their world, but also how they kind of interact with tieflings in their world already. And then work together to come up with a story that you both feel like would be interesting to play through. But anyways though, that is all the time I have today for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please like and subscribe for even more D&D content and ideas. And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.